My parents were both very educated, but neither of them believed in God, and I was raised as an atheist. I gave it a lot of thought, but I couldn't see how anybody could believe in God. I was successful, and I would have looked to somebody else like, oh my gosh, he's got it all wired, he's got everything, he makes money, he's successful, he has a great reputation, all of these things, but I was miserable. I had a loved one at the time who was badly addicted to alcohol. I used alcohol as a mechanism myself to try to mask pain. If you don't have God, you're ultimately going to serve something, or you're going to look somewhere for relief. And in my case, I looked to alcohol at the time, and so my life was, even more than I realized it at the time, just a mess. I was at the end of a 5-day-long trial, and I was going to give closing argument Friday. You know, I knew I was drinking too much. I'd quit drinking because I was miserable, because I needed to quit drinking, because this loved one, I needed to not drink if she had any chance of not drinking. And that particular morning, I didn't have anything to add to the closing, but as I stood in front of the mirror thinking about the closing, I felt this overwhelming presence. And it's very difficult to exchange. You know, it's ironic, I'm getting a little of it right now, but a tiny dose, but it's literally a change in temperature, in atmosphere, in a feeling, and it's just this presence around me. And I had absolutely no doubt at the time that it was God. And you know, later on I would revisit, where did that come from? Did I invent that? And I've never for a second doubted then that it was God. And God was telling me that even though I'd quit drinking, I should go to AA. So a couple weeks later, I began that journey. And the minute I did, I've always, since that time, viewed myself as literally walking with God. I was experiencing serenity for the first time in my life. I've always, one of the things that drove me to practice law, and it probably made me a good lawyer in some ways, was this overactive brain that I could never get to quit spinning. And God's helped me slow that down, and God was teaching me how to care for my soul at the time, but I wasn't yet a Christian. But I also knew I wasn't anywhere close to the end of my journey with God, and He began sprinkling Christians into my life, just saying little things. And then one Sunday morning, He said, "You're going to church today." And so I did. Now, I had no idea where to go. And I did visit a few churches, and then he led me back over and over again to Riverbend. And I'm convinced this is where He intended me to be, because God, through His amazing grace, saved a foolish old man who never deserved that. And this church is the place for people like me to be. I have a clear, just like I have a clear idea about what life is like without alcohol and with alcohol before, I have a clear idea about what life is like with God and without Him. And I have that in a way that I don't think other people who didn't have my life history could ever appreciate the difference. I once was lost, now I'm found, was blind, but now I see. Those words are my story. I mean, it is Dave's message through this. Such that I wouldn't have to just tell you I'm a Christian, you would see that I'm a Christian by what I do and how I act, and hopefully what I leave behind me when I go.
What makes you think think that you don't need a God. Millennial people just worshiping the stars, explained away in a logical barrage. What makes you think that you don't need a God? You've outgrown your need for a father in the sky. What's with his son and why'd he need to die? Every mystery is explainable away. I'll accept the question, the ever-present why. It's not too late for a thief upon the cross. You might find one day you can't explain away all the meaning that you're living without. It's not too late to find a higher power, because either way you're gonna serve them or you're not. What do you think when you look up at the sky? Do you fear the infinite or catch a glimpse of the divine? Either way, it doesn't matter where you land. If God is real and good, then God will understand. Late at night when your mind is finally still, what keeps you up and what shakes you to your core? A healthy fear of death and a divine sugar pill. If maybe all you need, or maybe you don't need a God just yet. It's not too late for a thief upon a cross. You might find one day you can't explain away all the meaning that you're living without. It's not too late to find a higher power, because either way you're gonna serve them or you're not. You may be a preacher preaching spiritual pride. Maybe a city councilman, you're taking bribes on the side. Maybe working in a barber shop, you know how to cut hair. Maybe you're somebody's mistress, maybe somebody's heir. But you're gonna have to serve somebody. Serve somebody. Yeah, you're gonna have to serve somebody. Serve somebody. Well, it may be the devil, or it may be the Lord, but you're gonna have to serve somebody. You might like to wear cotton, you might like to wear silk. You may like to drink whiskey, you might like to drink milk. You might like to eat caviar, you might like to eat bread. Maybe sleeping on the floor, you're sleeping on a king-size bed. But you're gonna have to serve somebody. Serve somebody. Yeah, you're gonna have to serve somebody. Serve somebody. Well, it may be the Lord, or it may be yourself, but you're gonna have to serve somebody. find one day you can't explain away.